Next guest is somebody that is here by popular demand, somebody that a lot of people have been calling, a lot of people have been asking for, man. Somebody who has come onto the National Fighting Championship scene. I want to say, if I'm being really accurate, it was March 10th. March 9th is the first time that I met Coach John Goodrum. And March 10th is when him and his fighters, they competed for the first time on a National Fighting Championship card. Live at the Battery. I believe that was NFC maybe 147, 149. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm off on these numbers, but this guy and his gym have come into the National Fighting Championship, and they've made a statement. They've made their mark, and it is an honor to have none other than the man John Goodrum to be joining me here on NFC Now, show number 45. Coach John, happy Monday, man. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Already, man. What's up, man? Where you at?
I'm at the gym, man. I try to not drive around in my car like my dude's always driving around every time they do an interview with you. So I was like, let me just have a stationary location.
Let me be posted, man. Could you do us a favor? Could you show us the gym? Could we do a quick tour of Georgia Pro MMA, man? We got a dojo.
I hope this is a good enough view.
Nah, it's perfect, man. Word, man. Okay. Where are we located? Just
Canton, Georgia. We're out in Canton, Georgia, right? Riverstone Parkway, little plaza right off the main strip. Whenever you come in Canton.
Tomorrow's 1 year anniversary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can't believe we actually made it this far for 1 year. Never would have thought I did this.
Let's dig into it a little bit more, man. Just this place that you're sitting in, man. Just ultimately, like, what does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me?
What is that?
It means a lot because it's. I think every person in their life, they either jump off a cliff and fall, or they jump off a cliff and go flying. This is my opportunity to fly. So that's what it means to me, is to have a better opportunity for my family and my future. And I'm not just somebody that's just saving my money for no reason or doing anything. I'm trying to invest and create a future for my family. That's what it means to me ultimately at the end of the day. But being able to teach young kids and people how to fight and become better people is another rewarding aspect of this.
Where did your martial arts journey begin?
At Hard Knocks MMA in Kennesaw, Georgia. I started training Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu there. My first instructor was Mateo Cutbill for Muay Thai, and Steve Hedden was my Jiu-Jitsu instructor. And then Gracie Baja came in after that, and I started training with them for Jiu-Jitsu for a little bit.
And how old were you at the time?
I started at 28. Now I'm 44.
And I thought it was so dope the way you just immediately named off their names, man. Like you're in a position to where other kids and adults, hey, when I started my mixed martial arts journey with Coach John Goodrum, you know?
Right. Yeah, no. I mean, I think that I try to remember everybody, especially in the jiu-jitsu community. People will come up and ask you and question you. They'll be like, who'd you learn from? Did you learn from this guy? You know, so it's like you got to be on your points with it, or they're going to think you're full of crap, you know? So I always try to remember the names as best as possible. Especially
Did you ever,
go ahead,
did you ever compete?
I competed in jiu-jitsu competitions. I never competed in any MMA competitions at all. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu as my first 3 years, and then after that, the older I got, man, it's hard whenever I was a single parent. I had my 2 kids, so I was raising my 2 kids and training, working, and raising them. Only allowed me a little bit of time and especially when you're young, these young guys, man, they can recover in no time, and they can train 24 hours. When I was training like 3 or 5 times a week at best for an hour or two, you know.
What are your kids' names?
Braden Goodrum and Alexis Goodrum are my 2 children that are.
Shout out to Braden and Alexis. Got to shout them out first and foremost. What's up, Braden and Alexis? Happy Monday.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Coach John Goodrum joining me here on NFC Now. Is it correct that you are the owner of Georgia Pro MMA?
That's one. Yeah, that's correct. I am the owner of Georgia.
Head coach and owner. I was trying to figure it out a little earlier. I don't think I was saying it correctly. I just wanted to make sure I got that confirmation that you are here, man. What made you want to start this gym a year ago?
To be honest with you, I never actually had an idea to say that I was going to open a gym, but at Hard Knocks MMA and Fitness, our coach Sam Wells, the head coach over there, he was closing down I don't know if he was close. I can't tell you 100% what was happening, but he said he was closing down the gym, or going to move the gym, and then he ended up closing the gym. And when that process happened, I decided to open up. I had some money that I saved up. I could either gone one way or the other. My goal was to open up a gym. So I opened up a gym, and I had a lot. I was already the head coach over there at the time, so not a lot, but some of the students followed me over here. So I knew I had an opportunity to start up a gym. I didn't know how well it'd go after that, but I had some members and an opportunity, so I jumped on the opportunity. That's the main reason why I started the gym. I don't know how I'm going to continue to carry it on. I mean, I know I'm going to continue to carry on, but I don't know. There was no thought process as to how I was going to plan out 2 or 3 years down the road, if that makes sense.
Yo, so you literally, as you said, you jumped off the cliff. You can either sink or fly.
Exactly. That was my choice. I was like, look, what am I going to do the rest of my life? I'm just going to keep saving money and invest it in this house that I can't make money off of, or potentially make a lot of money or make good money or whatever at a gym, and try to fly. And that was my goal. I want to try to fly. So
throughout this past year, man, I want to hear about the trials and the tribulations, man. Like, you know, could you give me like a point in time where you were like, damn, I don't know how I'm gonna get this thing back open? And could you give me a time where like you were like, yo, this is amazing and this is why I made those sacrifices?
Well, yeah, 100%. During the process of opening the gym, it wasn't that easy. Like, we were supposed to open last summer, and the city of Canton, like, there's so many regulations and codes. And when you're an owner opposed to the owner of the building, there's different kinds of codes you got to. So I could never get the gym open until the fall time. So that was such a hard process. I kept telling people, we're going to open. And by then I had already lost half of the people that said they were going to follow me over from Hard Knocks to the gym out here. So it was starting to seem like it was going to be a super uphill battle. But then as a lot of the guys followed over and everything started picking up as it did as time went on. So I figured after that was fine. But the one moment was when we had all 4 of the guys. It wasn't the first competition. I felt very gratitude towards everybody competing for me. But the second one, we had 4 people competing. I forget which event it was, but we had Sam, Jacob, Kenny, and I believe it was Tommy. They all competed. At the end of that, I felt so rewarded. I was like, I cannot believe I actually got guys here and competing at such a high level, because it's one thing to go out there compete, but being able to compete and show that we deserve to be here was most important to me. And all my guys worked so hard, and I was so proud of every moment, everything that happened. So it really, that one moment, I remember, like, I looked back and I was like, oh my God, I remember going to the crowd and our whole team was out there, and I was like high-fiving everybody, and it was one of the best feelings I've ever had. It was very, very nice.
I can only imagine, man. Again, Coach John Goodrum joining me here on NFC Now. Dude, the amount of support, just, yo, as I'm talking to you, I'm just looking at all these comments. Yo, they going crazy in the comments, dude. Yo, you got a cult. You still got a little cult going on over there, bro. Like, yo, they love you, man. Like, yo, and dude, and I love it. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the fans. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of just like good energy and good people. And like, yo, since Georgia Pro MMA showed up on the scene, bro, y'all show up and y'all show out like big time, man. Like, why do you think that is?
You know, honestly, at first, like, I always thought it was going to be hard to convince people to fight. Like, that was one of the biggest challenges that I thought. I was like, how am I going to get people to represent what we're doing? But when I talk to the people, we've all become like a friends and family. So instead of having to convince them to fight, I'm showing them that they know how to fight and they can compete with other people in our gym that are fighters. So it convinces them without even having to convince them that they're able to fight. Like, we have guys that I never would have ever thought were going to compete. And now I got a guy this weekend competing in a jiu-jitsu tournament that I would have never thought that he would have done that. And now he's like, I'm going to jump into it, and really do it. And we have another guy, Casey, that he came in and he was like just this average kid. And then now he's like telling me he's thinking about competing. And I would have never thought that. But just because I've shown that he can compete against guys at the gym that are fighting in the NFC, he's convinced himself and he believes that he can do it. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's basically
I'm following you. I'm locked in because, I mean, dude, just the fact that like you've literally riled up the troops, and I'm telling you, man, like, Georgia Pro MMA, man, since y'all came onto the scene in March, and I remember the first time that we met each other at weigh-ins, man, and it was just like, yo, and I was out because I remember being on this podcast and talking to Jesse. He was like, yo, I got some guys from this new gym, Georgia Pro MMA. Everybody's on point. They got their eye test, their blood test. Everybody's on weight. Like, I'm excited to see what they got, man. But y'all showed up and y'all showed out. Like, yeah, Tommy may have not have got his hand raised that night, but dude, he put on a hell of a fight against Lance LaPuma. And then your boy Kenneth Harden came out there, got dubs. I mean, he's undefeated. I mean, this dude is crazy. Like, you know, like
a hard fight schedule. He's had every single one of his fighters have been badasses. Like,
Jesse Weibo has not done him any favors.
He has like the hardest fight schedule, I think. Like, and every one of those guys that he fought could be potential UFC fighters or people in higher. So that's why I tell him it's got to get easy at some point, I would think, for him.
For sure, man. No, good things are definitely happening to him, man. Now, I am curious about how did you discover the National Fighting Championship, and why did you want your fighters to compete in this local promotion?
Well, Hard Knocks, I was one of the corner guys for a lot of the fighters. So I'd been cornering with Hard Knocks for years with the NFC, and there was another promotion in South Carolina. I went with them and cornered Warren Smith, Yusuf Amir, and other fighters that we had. Greg Brown, when Greg Brown competed for Hard Knocks. I've been going to the NFC events for years. I'm just always quiet and try to be in the background, and I don't want people really to focus on me because it's not about me. It's about my fighters and how well they performed and how much they worked, you know.
When you're at these fights, are you more nervous than when you were actually competing?
Oh, man, dude, like I'm the most nervous person in the world, dude. Like I try to just stand in the back of the line and keep my hands behind my back and not show any emotion because I'd probably just come screaming out of my head if I was. It's very nerve-wracking because I don't feel if they fail, but I feel like I don't want them to think that I failed them, I guess, at the end of the day. I know that we work hard and we train hard, but I want them to feel success even when, you know, a failure, sometimes you got to learn through failure, you know. So I hope they all understand that, I guess, at the end of the day.
I know that you said that, you know, one of your proudest moments was, I believe it was that night at Monday Night Garage where all your fighters went 4-0 that night, man.
The first time we went there. No, we went 2-1-1, 2-1-1.
2-1-1, but you still felt like, you know, look, at the end of the day, y'all walked that.
Amazing, yeah.
It was an amazing night, man. You know, just through the conversations that you have with your fighters just on the mats and you know, at Georgia Pro MMA, man, what are some of the things that make you sit back and be like, damn, you know what, like I'm doing something that is actually worthwhile?
I don't know if it's necessarily conversations that I have, but like at the end of every class, like when the gym is getting ready to close, nobody leaves. We all stay around and we're all talking. Somebody's either rolling on the mats. It's not like we're getting up, we're getting our bags and trying to get out of here. We're still trying to find out more information about each other, either being friendships or what technique we did in class. And at Hard Knocks, at the end of Hard Knocks, a lot of guys were just getting their bags, leaving, and it was the end of class, you know, like there was no friendship, no family esque vibes at the gym. And I always wanted to have a smaller gym where everybody felt like no matter what, we would always be a community together, because I feel like that's the only way to build, you know, is build. I might not be the best coach, I might not have the best programs, but I'm going to invest myself the most in each individual so they can become the best. And by doing that, we got to build a community of people that all want to surround each other and support each other so that the weakest link can now become our strongest link at the end of the day.
That's real talk. Y'all let me know. I see a lot of people are in the comments. Y'all let me know if Coach John Goodrum is accurate with the way in which that he invests his time into those fighters. Again, Coach John Goodrum joining me here on NFC Now. Which one of your fighters will hold the NFC belt first? I'm honestly just because Ken's on the closest path. I think he's trying to recover and heal a little bit, but Kenny's going to be on fighting soon, hopefully for a number one contendership. But any one of them, Kenny, Tommy, Sam, every one of my fighters have an opportunity to do well because we put in hard work. At the end of the day, we focus on ourselves, improving, becoming the best possible athletes, and increasing our fighter IQ. So I think any one of them at any potential point gets on a hot streak and become a belt holder at the end of the day. But it's all about how much work we want to put in at the end of the day, because we all have jobs, we all have families, we have different things, and what comes most important along with all that is, I guess, how they invest themselves. But right now, just on the path that we have, Ken Harden definitely by far has because he's 3-0. He's fought 3 hard people, which any one of them 3 guys could be a champion in the division right now as it is, you know. So
I feel like he has a great opportunity right now to do big things in and outside the cage. He's all about his nutrition and all this stuff. So I think he's gonna be a big dude in the nutrition industry one day, probably.
How closely do you follow other gyms? Let me give a little more context to that. It's like, yo set versus they set, right? That's how I kind of look at it. Like, okay, we got that set over here, we got this set over here, and this is our set. Right. How much do you monitor that? And how much pride do you take in, making sure your set is being represented amongst the other sets?
Our set versus their set. For the most part, like, because a lot of the guys that we have competing, we're all amateur. All the guys are amateurs. So the guys grow significant from fight to fight. So following their last fight is very difficult for me to tell one of my fighters to say, hey, just follow this guy's last fight, because he's probably grown so much. So what's most important with my amateur guys is I want them to focus on their own growth and their own potential and where they can go. Not if the guys have past fights that they can watch, study them, but don't make sure that that's who they're going to be, because this person can grow and become a better fighter. And by the next fight, they can be this incredible fighter. And we've been training for this other guy that didn't grow at all, right? So my main goal is to make sure all of our fighters invest more in themselves and not focus as much on the other side. Now, on the other hand, if I had a fighter that was going up against a guy that had 6 or 7 pro fights that was more established with his skill set and kind of things he was doing, then of course, we would focus more on that and things like that. But for the most part, if we know we're going up against a grappler, we're going to focus the camp on grappling stuff and adding and striking and just kind of sharpen what we got during that camp. Not necessarily focus too much on what they're doing at an amateur level, but at a professional level, I definitely would increase that tape watching and figuring out kind of the tendencies of the fighter or their individual tendencies of each fighter.
From my experience, no, definitely. From my experience, just being in the NFC and just having these types of dialogues, you hear gyms that are kind of like sister gyms, and like, hey, we'll cross train together, and like that's kind of the home gym. And then you have kind of gyms that you might have a friendly rivalry with, like, or like you kind of like, okay, we're going against this gym, and we get this one up, like these are gonna be bragging rights. I know we're on the NFC community right now, and I don't want to give away all the trade secrets, man, but is that a thing?
That is what, to me, it's a thing, because like we're 0-2 against SBG, and I don't want to be 0-2 against the team, right? And then like Team Lima, we've done really well against, but they all got great fighters. So like in my mind, I don't have a thing against any of them teams. I would cross train with any gym or any coach or anybody at any point. But yeah, I do think about it every time I go there and we're going up against SBG. I want to get that win back. Or does that make sense? I don't like having any losses against any team, and I don't have anything against them. I love all teams, and I would love to cross-train with everybody. But I do hold, not a grudge, but I do want to get our wins back.
You keeping score.
100%.
Which is fair. I mean, that makes sense. And I just wish more people would say it. Just say it. We're keeping score. We want to beat them. They want to beat us. And like, hey, we're keeping score. It's just like me. Look, if me and you were playing video games, we gonna know who's getting the better end of us. You know what I'm saying?
You
so
got to be competitive to some degree, especially in this business, right?
Indeed, man. Indeed. Now, shout out to you and the entire NFC community. And the entire Georgia Pro MMA team community, because y'all have built a family and community over there, man. Y'all are very active here on the NFC Now podcast, man.
Yeah, my guys show a lot of love. I appreciate every single one of them for showing all the support.
For sure. What do you think about the podcast,
dude? I watch the podcast. I love listening to you. I'm not into podcasts or anything, but I like listening to you. Ever since we've, like you said, at that first event, we've kind of taken a friendship. I remember after Kenny's fight, you came and shook my hand. I couldn't get inside the cage because my knee was hurt, so I couldn't walk up and out the cage. And I remember you coming outside the cage and shaking my hand after Kenny. And that meant a lot to me, because you actually came and acknowledged me. You told me that, like that was cool, rather than just ignoring who I was. You appreciated, I guess, whatever I did. So I appreciated that. And so I took that to heart. And ever since then, I've talked to you and kind of followed everything. So I definitely like listening to everything that you got going on. And I appreciate you having our guys on a lot too.
I think it's important for us, just again, myself and the community to understand, man, the players that are that are in this game, man, that are in this community, and y'all are definitely players. Y'all take up room on the Monopoly board, man. You got you a couple squares on the Monopoly board, man. It's important for us to get to understand the properties that are on this board. Not for sure, man. And I mean, look, we've had on Kenny, we've had on my man Tommy Brown, and I do want to talk about that. Shout out to my man Tommy Brown. That's my dog. Like, can't nobody tell me nothing bad about Tommy Brown. I want to know, were you watching live that day?
I was actually so during the interview I was coaching, and he left with his friend or whatever. Everybody had emailed me, text messaged me, like, what the hell's going on with Tommy? So I only had third-party information. I just called Tommy right away, and I was like, bro, what's going on, dude? And he explained the whole situation to me. So I wasn't watching live because I was coaching, but we had all our guys watching. And everybody, I had a few guys that said it didn't look bad, but I think at the end of the day, I think it ended up looking kind of good for us, I guess. I don't know.
I'm somebody, I don't like to count no L's, man. I think that was ultimately a W. I felt like that it gave Georgia, it really, if y'all weren't already on the map just for fighting, like that kind of gave like
stupidity, right?
It's not even just stupidity. It's like any news, like I'm a media guy. Any news is good news. You know what I'm saying? Y'all made the headlines.
I want to make a T-shirt, something about the podcast and him getting stopped. You know, I figured that would sell. It's funny. It's relevant.
No, you know what should be on there? It should be Tommy. At the end, Tommy was like, "Fuck it, let's keep going."
There we go. I get a shirt for sure. I'll get you one. I'm gonna get that.
I was like, yo, that was the line, and I was about to keep going, but there were some other people.
Honestly, I wish I would have been watching, because I would have messaged him right then at that point saying, all right, no, bro, we need to stop this. Let's do this some other time when we're not got cops all around.
And again, I offered, I threw out an apology. Look, my job is to not make nobody look bad.
We all live and learn, dude.
We all live and learn. It was a moment for the, and again, I do not mean to harp on this on Tommy Brown's behalf. He is an amazing kid. I'm curious.
I promise he thinks it's funny.
It was also I'm sure it was a coaching moment for you and the entire it was you and the entire Georgia Pro MMA family. What was said? Like, how did you handle that situation?
Oh, like I said, I just called Tommy, and Tommy explained everything to me, and I said, just moving forward, let's hang up the phone if that situation happens, or let's try to be in a stable, secure area. What's funny about it is the next time when you had Kenny on, he was driving in a car too. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I think it was definitely a learning moment for us, because now I know I told all the guys, if something similar to that happens, let's definitely. I mean, actually, we can't control what happens if we're driving down the road all the time, right? But if something like that does happen, just like, hey, let's do this again. We have plenty of opportunity. That's really, I guess, at the end of the day, I wasn't mad or anything at anybody. We all got to learn from our mistakes and grow up,
And that's the beautiful part, man. Look, this is side note. Every night I pray that I'm able to show the love in which God shows me every day onto those, the love and grace that he shows me every day onto those who I come in contact with, man.
Right.
And,
I those two, I can tell you definitely a caring and genuine person.
I appreciate that, man, for sure, man. And, I definitely wanted to make sure that, the entire community got around it. But I think I think that's what really put Georgia Pro MMA on the map. Y'all were already on the map, but it was like, oh, nah, this is an attraction. You know what I'm saying?
He tells me all the time, every time he talks to somebody, that's one of the first things that happens. That is the podcast. So I'm like, yeah, I got you.
It's a beautiful thing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Coach John Goodroom joining me here on NFC Now, show number 45. Coach John, a couple more things before we do part ways today, man. That 28-year-old that you met, I mean, that just walked into the jiu-jitsu that you said Hard Knocks in Kennesaw.
MMA.
Hard Knocks MMA, man. What would you think about the guy that I'm talking to on the pod right now?
What would he think about it?
Yeah, what would you think about him?
He would be proud of me. I think at the end of the day, he'd be proud, because I think everybody counts you out all the time, right? They always say, oh, you're up to this. You're just going to do training for fun, or you're just doing, you know what I mean? Like, nobody takes anything serious. So I think everybody that either counted me out or didn't think that I had the opportunity to even make it through doing something for 14 years in a row, let alone open up a gym and being able to teach people how to improve their life and become better fighters. I think I would definitely be proud of myself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all.
That's beautiful, man. Shout out to that 28-year-old you, man, and shout out to the man that I'm talking to right now, man. Before we part ways, what do you want to leave me and the entire NFC community with, John?
Thank you all for everything, and come train always. Let's cross train. Everybody, come kick my butt. Let's do it.
Everybody, y'all come through. Make sure you support a hustling John Goodrum and Georgia Pro MMA. On behalf of everybody here in the NFC community, man, we just want to say, happy anniversary. 1 year so open. Much. Georgia Pro MMA, man. Congratulations, man. It's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy, but as you said earlier, it is worth it.
Yeah, it's 100% worth it, and it's getting easier, dude. So I appreciate everything you've done for us, all the support and everything, Julian.
Come on, man. Look, it's a community, and look, real recognize real. I respect it, man. Y'all came, y'all saw, y'all have continued to conquer, and we rooting for the Georgia Pro MMA guys moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. That is none other than Coach John Goodrum. Thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you, man. See y'all later.
Peace. Voila, man. Wonderful interview, man. My man, Coach John Goodrum. That was great, man. I love and shout out to the entire NFC community. I did put out a post last week, like, hey, who do y'all want to hear from? And they did say Coach John Goodrum. They wanted to hear from Coach John. And so,